first one. Levi Ward, Dear Dutch, I was wondering, did you ever encounter Dr. Jerry Graham? You wanted him current, but you haven't got him current on this one, at least. I have heard stories about him, like how he stole his mother's corpse and how he was Vince McMahon's favourite wrestler. Just wondering your thoughts on the man and his legacy to pro wrestling.
I met him one time when I had just started. I was in Atlanta. He came in for like a week, I think. He was big. He was fat. He was drunk. He was sloppy. Looked like a slob. When he would eat, the food would all be on his shirt and everything else. He lasted a week. And I don't even think, he may not even lasted a week. They may have gotten rid of him about, if he came in on Monday, they may have gotten rid of him on Saturday. I mean, on Wednesday, because he was that way. And he would show up at town so drunk. He showed up at one town. He threw up in the parking lot. Oh, it was awful. But see, I had just started and I'm thinking, God, this is what wrestling is. They do this? What the hell? It's like, it's the worst thing I could have seen in my first week.
Your first week as well, and you saw him?
Maybe the second week, but early on, I do remember that they brought in Dr. Jerry Graham for a week, I think. And he only lasted like 3 days.
What did you hear about Dr. Jerry Graham? Because obviously, all the old timers at the time would have been telling stories about this, that, and the other. But with Dr. Jerry, what did you hear about him specifically?
Well, it's exactly what I saw. He was a drunk. He was a slob. And a big fat bastard. The Graham name started in the old WWW elf. And he teamed up with Eddie, who later became the owner or majority owner of the Florida territory, Championship Wrestling from Florida. But Eddie and Jerry, of course, they weren't brothers. That's what we call them in the business, plastic brothers. But Eddie understood the business. Jerry didn't give a shit. Jerry did not care. He didn't care about respecting the business, nor how it looked. He didn't care because he didn't care about himself either. And I don't know when he died, but he didn't live that much longer after that. When did he die?
Well, do you know, I just looked it up before, 1997. So he lived, another like 20.
That was 25 years after I met him.
Yeah.
I don't know how he did. He was like 350 pounds then. So I don't know. Sometimes these guys have charmed lives and they don't live a healthy life, but live a long time.
Did you ever meet Luke Graham? You sort of
I did meet Luke. I do meet Luke Graham. Luke Graham was he was from down south somewhere. And he's a big old tall guy, good guy. This is what I remember about Luke Graham. Luke would sit in the dressing room, and he was never confrontational. I mean, he'd talk to you, but he was never really outgoing. And he would sit there, and he'd have a bottle of Jack Daniels, a big fifth. And he'd go, he'd turn it down. He'd do it every time and put it down. And he'd just sip on it. And then he'd go to the ring and do what he had to do, and he'd come back. Then he'd sit down, and there's the bottle. He'd turn it up. Set it down. And that's what I remember about Luke Graham. But good guy. He was a good guy.